Good afternoon, everyone. This is my SQL System Presentation by John Matthew Arroyo. So, in our system, in each of the tables that are included in the system, starting with student table, these are the SQL queries that were made inside this part. So, first things first, we got the select statement. So we selected all the student columns, and at the same time we get the column program name from the program table. So we did that by joining it using left join, and we use the program ID as their identifier in order for them to join properly. And then we also filtered it out so that any columns should be only active, so values that are only not soft deleted. And then we got the select, so this is where we get the values, a specific values from that table student depending on what the student ID is. So if we want to get the record of student ID 1, then that's the only record that we will get. And of course we also filter it out so that it only gets the non-deleted or non-soft deleted records. And then we have the insert statement where the user can insert their values depending on the columns. And the next is the update statement. So we update the table student, and then we set it depending on what the value the user inputted. So you can see it's been replaced by a question mark because in the code it's used like this so that it will not be a hard-coded value, rather it will be a value that will depend on the user input. And then we also filtered it out, so where student ID, the current student ID that needs to be updated, and it should be not soft deleted, so it means it should be active, so we filtered it out. And then the last part for the student table is the update. So this means that we delete or soft delete a specific record depending on what the student ID is, and then the deleted at, we set its current date, the date where it's deleted. So that's all for the student table, and the next we are gonna go to the section table. So for the section table, it it contains foreign keys from different tables. So you can see here we have a lot of join statements. So we selected all the values from the section table first, and then after that the different column or values from different tables. So this is the main table, and these are all the tables that we want to join on our main table. So we got course, we got term, we got instructor, and then we got room. So we joined all of this into this one, and then we also filtered it out so that all records, the only records that will be get is the ones that are not soft deleted. And then same with the student, we got the select statement where we can get all the values from the section, and then we can also insert some values to the section table depending on the user value. That's why you can see question marks. And then update, same as the student table, and delete, which is the same implementation as the student table. And then next we got the room table. So for the room table, we get all of its column, and we also filtered it out where deleted is, or deleted at is null, so deleted at, so it should be not soft deleted. And then we selected its column again, or we get its values, because this is basically calling the room table, and after we do that we are able to get its values. and then we insert it depending on what the user input is. We update it, and then we delete it, or soft delete. So for the programs, it's the same implementation. We get its columns columns within the program table, and also we get the department, which is coming from a different table. So we used left join for that one. So we combine the department table with the program table by using def id, and then of course we also filtered it out so that it only gets the active, non-deleted or non-soft deleted values, as you can see. Then we select its values, we can insert it some new values, we can update those new values, and we can delete it those values. And we can also do this, or we have this query, because in our program table we have a drop down box that contains all the department, and in order for those values in the drop down to populate, we did this query: select dep id dep name from table department, also filtering it out that it only gets the non-deleted values, and then we order by their department name, ascending order. So that means that this is the query that will appear in our drop down box from the program table. Next is the instructor. So we selected all the columns from the instructor table. We also get the department name, and then we left join the table department to instructor table by using their dep id and also filtering it out. And with that, we're able to select the values or get the values depending on the id, instructor id. We can insert some values, we can update those values, then we can delete it. So as same with the previous table, we also have a drop down box where it contains the departments, the current departments. So we also use this query from this table so that we can populate that drop down box. So next is the enrollment table. So same process, we get all of its columns. We get columns from different tables. So that's why we use two join statements. We got student and then section. So the student, we joined it with the enrollment table. The section, we joined it with the enrollment table. And then we also filtered it out so that it only gets the values that are not so soft deleted. And then from that we can manipulate it. We can get a value from the enrollment table, we can insert some values, we can update those values, or we can delete those values. And then this one, so this one we can select student id and then last name from table student, where deleted at is null. So basically this is like the same with department, where we populate the drop down box. This time we're populating the student information. And then this part right here, we added some verifications. So this query, select all from table department where deleted at is null. So this just means that we can only we can only get all the department values, all the columns from the department where it's filtered out. So it only gets those values that are not soft deleted. That's why it's null. And then we got the select all from table department. where dep ID is equals to whatever the dep ID is, and deleted it as null. So the same implementation. So now in the insert, same process, we insert some values to the table department. We update those values. We delete those values, and we also added some verification. So this is where the verification comes. That was a mistake. It's not from this part, but rather it's from this part. So from the verification part, we get all, we check the department code. For example, if we will add some values to the, or we will add a new department code, this query makes sure that whatever department code that we're adding is not the same from the other previous department codes that are already part in the database. So it checks it, and it also checks if those existing department codes are not soft deleted. And then this one is also the same. So if we have a current department code and we want to change its name, this query checks if that updated department code exists already from the other department codes that are already part in the database. So this is the verification or validation part of the department table. And next is the course table. So we get all the values from the course table. We get the department name. We get it by left joining the table department to the course table by using their def ID, and then we filtered it out, and from that we can select the values, get the values. We can insert some values to the course. We can update those values, and then we can delete it. And also we have the same same implementation from the previous table. We got the checking part. So if we, this is able to check the course code if it's already existing, and then this is checks if the updated course code is already existed. And then this one, this is also from the other implementation from the drop down. So we are populating the department in the course table drop down. So it is ordered by ascending, ordered by def name and then ascending. And then we have the course prerequisite. So this one, we created some aliases from this one. So we get first its course ID, its prerequisite course ID, and then we have created aliases. So C1, that course title as course name, and then C2 course title as prerequisite name. So this is our aliases. We get this from, of course, the table prerequisite. We left join those two aliases, so C1 and then C2. We left join them, and then we filter it out that all of this should be only active values or values that are not soft deleted. Same with this one, with the two aliases. And then from that we can update the table course. We can delete it, and then this one we can, this one in the course, because in the course prerequisite table we also have the drop down. So this time, since it's related to course, the values that we need to populate in the drop down are the course. So that's why we use this query. So next is the term table. So the term table, we get all of its values, and then filtered it out, and then we can able to get its values, insert some values, update some values, and delete some values. And yes, that is all for my SQL presentation from each of the tables. And thank you so for listening.